What's up, guys? This is Erin Whitney with ScreenCrush.com. Today we're talking about fantastic beasts and where to find them. And I'm supposed to have a guest, but I don't know where he went. Asio Jackson.
Oh. Hey!
Hey!
How's it going?
Good.
It's a nice place you got.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
This is Jackson Bird with the HPA, the Harry Potter Alliance. And we've both seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the new Harry Potter spinoff prequel from J.K. Rowling. And we're going to talk about everything in the movie. So there's going to be lots of spoilers. So
yes,
if you
lots of spoilers.
Oh yeah, be warned. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to go to the theater, hit pause on this, and then come back and watch it, or just watch it and be spoiled. That's fine.
Yeah, if you're down with spoilers, I guess. Yeah.
So Jackson, what did you think of the movie?
Well, okay, first of all, since I'm coming on as like a big Harry Potter fan, I do just want to clear up that I'm not a huge fan of most of the Harry Potter movies. I like the books better, so I'm not going to be a total I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I loved it, but I did really like it. I did really genuinely like it. It's not the best movie that I've ever seen, but I think I liked it more than I thought I would.
I feel really similarly. I do like the movies a lot, and I think that I had really high expectations for this, and maybe they weren't entirely met, but I think it was still a really fun return to the wizarding world. I feel like it had a lot of the same magical elements of the Harry Potter movies, but it didn't feel like it was sort of trying to recreate those movies and sort of trying to bring those back. It was kind of making its own world. The things that I really loved about this movie, I think, were the new supporting characters, like Dan Fogler.
Oh, he was amazing.
Right, yeah. He just, especially as a character that's a nomad, which is a muggle in the American world. That's, I don't know, you never really get to spend time with magical people.
Especially nice ones.
Right.
We get the Dursleys, and they're horrible.
Exactly. But he has this sort of charm, and he says in the movie he's like a likable guy, everyone really likes him, which is kind of a contrast to Eddie Redmayne's Newt, who is very introverted and really quiet. And I think that the two of them together were this kind of really interesting team of unlikely heroes.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Eddie Redmayne as Newt Scamander was amazing, because I really felt we didn't know anything about Newt Scamander except that he wrote this encyclopedia. And in the trailers, they were really playing up the action flick, he's kind of a hero kind of thing. So I was really pleasantly surprised to see that he's just this very awkward, soft-spoken kind of guy. He's not your typical hero whatsoever, and that's the perfect kind of role for Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, he brings this bashfulness and this shyness to his character, which you kind of see in other Eddie Redmayne movies. Yeah. And at first, I'll admit that kind of made me worried about this movie. I thought, how is this going to be an alluring enough of a character to carry a franchise? But his interactions with the beasts, especially when he goes down into the suitcase.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know, you just kind of love him. It's just he even says, they call him mother, or he calls himself the mother of the beasts.
Yeah. Which, okay, so there's so many parallels between him and Hagrid, and that's one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
When Hagrid has the baby dragon in Sorcerer's Stone, he's calling himself Mummy to the baby dragon.
Yeah, that's right.
And Eddie Redmayne, or Newt Scamander, does that as well. And then also we get a little hint that Newt was expelled from Hogwarts because of a creature that he let loose.
Right.
Which of course Hagrid actually wasn't. He was, he was framed. But it's very similar to Hagrid,
I think one of the things that stands out about this are all the action scenes. I mean, there's so much action going on, and it's a lot different from the Harry Potter duels because there isn't this sort of emotional thread going through them.
Yeah.
But they are really big and blockbustery in a way that isn't sort of the same as say a Marvel movie, but they're grounded in this sort of fun, uplifting energy.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of whimsy, especially anytime you go into Newt's suitcase and you it almost feels like a Dr. Seuss world in there.
Yeah,
it was just so vibrant, and it was really hard. It took me a long time actually, and this is maybe a criticism, to sort of get my spatial awareness inside of his suitcase. I wasn't really sure. Also I was trying to figure out the constraints of magic there and how he had made that, and eventually I think I realized it's a preservation that he kind of made, because he had the different elements and seasons and ecosystems. Yeah.
Speaking of criticisms, the one thing that I was disappointed in with this movie was the ending, and specifically the reveal of who Colin Farrell's character is. So we know that Colin Farrell plays Graves, who's an Auror, but we find out in the end that that's actually Johnny Depp's Grindelwald. So I think Colin Farrell was a really good villain. I think that he's just such a good actor anyway.
You know what just occurred to me?
What?
That I hadn't even thought until now, because I too was oh, bummer, I was excited for Colin Farrell to be in all these films. Maybe he is.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe the real Graves is, locked in a trunk a la Mad-Eye Moody. And so it was a Polyjuice Potion thing, not a glamour where he recreated this whole character.
That's a really good idea.
Because I mean he did rise so high in the ranks at the Makusa. I always forget what they're calling it now. Yeah, so like he must have been there for a while, and Grindelwald couldn't have been there pulling off that stunt for too long.
Yeah, that's what kind of surprised me about the reveal, is that how did he trick everyone for so long?
Yeah.
Especially when we see that attack in the beginning of the movie, when we see Grindelwald's attack, and then Graves says at some point, I was there for it. So you think he's one of the 4 or 5 wizards that are approaching?
I don't know.
I don't know. But even if that's not what it is, that's one way that this franchise could be fixed as far as the casting, because that has been a big fan concern.
That's
as
true.
Far as Johnny Depp.
Yeah. The fans that I know and that I've seen online are definitely very upset about Johnny Depp, and I think it would be really great, for the Harry Potter franchise and for J.K. Rowling and everything she stands for to replace him.
Yeah, and it could be done so easily. I mean, just look at Game of Thrones. They recast people all
Yeah,
the time,
yeah.
and people just deal with it. So why not?
One other critique I had was, you get some commentary here and there of how J.K. Rowling and maybe the English at large perceive America. And one thing that I felt was a bit too heavy-handed was the death penalty. The fact that I guess there is a death penalty sort of in the wizarding world in England. They go to Azkaban, there's the Dementors, but it was really sadistic here. And it was very clearly, I think, a commentary on the US death penalty, because you saw the chair and there were the executioners, and they were taking the memories out, kind of almost like doing an injection. And the whole thing with it, they're making it self-inflicted. They're having your happy memories tell you to go into it.
Right.
It was just really, really dark, and I felt like it was a bit too much.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really notice it as a commentary on America, but now that you say that, that makes a lot of sense. But while watching it, I felt like it was going definitely too far, and there could have been just a much more simple way to, show their form of punishment.
Yeah.
But with everything else going on in the movie, especially near the last half, which I felt was really busy with lots of events and lots of action, it just sort of felt like it took a dive in this very dark direction that wasn't even really built towards in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, and also their crimes weren't that bad.
Right, yeah.
I felt, at least.
We know for sure that a young Dumbledore is going to be in the sequel, and that's giving a lot of us hope that this is actually going to be an openly gay or an openly queer Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And I recently asked J.K. Rowling if that's going to be true. She gave me a bit of a non-answer, unofficial yes, maybe. But
that's the most we've gotten out of her in a long time, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was very impressed.
It was my mission for weeks to make this happen. And I'm glad it did. She pretty much said that the movie's going to explore a formative period in his life, so we can sort of expect to see more between him and Grindelwald, I assume. But I also think there's some more queer subtext in the movie, in the first Fantastic Beasts, that could be problematic to exploring a queer character. We talked about that a bit.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, first of all, J.K. Rowling has said that Dumbledore's love for Grindelwald was unrequited.
Right.
Which implies maybe Grindelwald was, straight, or we just don't know. If he is not straight, then some of the things that happen in the movie make me feel uncomfortable, and it's they were kind of relying on very old and dangerous stereotypes of gay people.
Right.
Do you want to explain what happened?
Yeah. It's kind of a slight scene, but there's a scene where Graves, before he's revealed to be Grindelwald, is in an alley with Credence and sort of kind of coddles him and holds his head, and it definitely is coming on to him in some sort of sexual advance. And I'm glad that you agree, because it felt, at first I thought I was just sort of reading into it, but I've talked to a couple other people too, and it definitely feels like there's some queer vibes there, but dangerous ones as far as, him being a pedophile.
It totally reminds me of the 1950s, watch out for the homosexuals, PSAs that were if they're really bad when they're saying that's what to watch out for homosexuals, but actually very accurate on what to watch out for child predators.
Right.
And that was exactly what was happening in that scene. All of my alarms were going off.
And if J.K. Rowling does intend to introduce Grindelwald as, maybe closeted or has some sort of feelings he hasn't expressed for Dumbledore, I'm worried that there's going to be some sort of predatory vibes between them, and maybe that's what caused more of a rift, and that just seems like something that the movie doesn't need to explore, you know?
Yeah, I mean, well, and this is the other thing to look into is like the timeline that we're at is way past their relationship. Like we
Right.
saw Grindelwald's age; he looked pretty old.
Yeah,
and
I think
if
he's
we were-
roughly like, I did the year estimate recently.
Yeah.
I think he's roughly like 41 or 42.
Okay, yeah. So if we saw anything, I guess it would be a flashback.
Right, yeah.
And so that's a little bit different. But if we were to see anything like in the present time, like how would they even express like a queer Dumbledore? Because if it's like, here's a past unrequited relationship, I don't know, is like he gonna walk into like an Order of the Phoenix meeting and be like, oh, sorry, I was just out to dinner with my boyfriend. Like, I don't know how they could do it without relying on stereotypes like that one.
Right. Unless there's more of a plan to introduce his romantic life beyond Grindelwald, and
Yeah.
then you'd assume that this character, we've saw him live through 150 years, that, you know, he has some sort of partner.
Boy, I hope
or
that guy
something,
did.
Right?
For Dumbledore's sake.
Like, he
I hope
needs a
he was
break.
getting some.
But yeah, I hope she actually does and explores it, because I think if anything, fans are going to be super disappointed and upset if we don't actually get to see Dumbledore as she said he was supposed to be.
Yeah, well, and you know, you brought up a good point. You know, we are facing unknown and scary times in our nation right now, and I think it would bring some much needed hope to queer youth and some much needed like representation to help change minds in our nation by seeing one of, you know, the most powerful wizard of all time and one of pop culture's heroes as a queer figure.
Yeah.
Like, that would be so cool.
Especially in, you know, one of the biggest franchises of all time. Well, thanks for joining us for talking about Fantastic Beasts. You could find more from ScreenCrush at ScreenCrush News on Twitter and ScreenCrush.com for more news and reviews. And where can we find you, Jackson?
Well, you can find the Harry Potter Alliance at the HP Alliance on pretty much all social media. And if you are really passionate, like we are, about seeing a queer Dumbledore in future films, you can use the hashtag #LetDumbledoreOut. We're going to be mobilizing around that and maybe seeing a change in future movies. And you can find me at Jack is Not a Bird on most things, including YouTube.
Cool. Thanks again. See you next time.